Hello, this is Michelle, and I'm going to take you on a tour of the WordPress dashboard. So this is going to be a great tutorial if you are unfamiliar with WordPress and you're just getting started. Now, the first thing that you're going to need to do, obviously, is log in. When you get to your login screen, a lot of times it's going to just be your domain.com, whatever that is for you, /wplogin.php. Or sometimes it can be just as simple as /login, so yourdomain.com/login. Now, mine will be a little bit different because I've actually used a plugin to hide my login because I don't want it to be so easy to crack. But all you'll have to do is once you reach this page is to enter in your username or your email address and then your password. You may or may not see this reCAPTCHA message. I do have a reCAPTCHA plugin installed as well, which really helps eliminate a lot of spam and hacking attempts. So I'm going to take a moment to enter in my details and then log in, and I will meet you inside the dashboard. Okay, now that I'm in the dashboard, you can see that we've got a couple of things going on over here. These messages are just hidden for now because sometimes they provide good information, sometimes they just get in the way. It provides an overview glance of what you've got going on. This is a new site, so it is a little empty. There is only one post and one page, and those are the default things that come with it. But I wanted to give you a tour. But I will say that from one WordPress site to another, it could look different because based on what themes you have installed, what plugins you have installed, it's going to be slightly different experience for each individual, but the overall menu structure is pretty much the same. So we're going to start up here. This is where we are, the dashboard. We can kind of see an overview of what we have going on the site. If we go to the update tabs, we can see if there is any updates that we need to install. So we've got the current version of WordPress. All of our plugins are up to date and all of our themes are up to date. If they're not, though, you're going to see a message that's going to prompt you to go ahead and update those. Always a good idea to update everything as often as you can. It helps with security and helps eliminate the possibility for any bugs in the site. Moving on, we'll go down to this post tab. This post tab would be what you would create if you were creating a blog post. So if you have a blog on your site, this is where you're going to add a new post. We can see that we've currently got this one default one here. And to add a new post, it's as simple as clicking Add New. Now, I will say that I am using the Divi theme for this site. If you'd like to know more about the Divi theme, you can always check out the description of this video. I've got some links to explore it more. I love it as a builder. It is so easy to use and it just makes creating websites so much easier. So when you're first on a post page, you can add your title. There's always going to be some options that you can choose on the right-hand side on this menu. And then I do have a plugin called Yoast SEO for SEO purposes that I have installed on the site so that any post or any page, I can customize the title and I can customize the meta description so that when results are showing up in Google, then I can control all of the text that's being displayed there. And it gives you a preview of what you actually see as a Google result, which is really nice. So you can see the mobile result or you could see the desktop result. And so if you were wanting to write something like my first blog post, then you can see how that shows up right there. And then I could add any description text that I needed to do in that area, and it will show me what it will look like. So that's a very quick overview of what creating a post looks like. If you want to save the draft, you would save this one. If you want to preview what everything looks like, you would hit that button. And to publish it and make it go live, you would hit the publish button. I'm just going to exit out of here. I'm going to click this menu back over here and we're going to get out of that post and we'll continue adding on. Now, while there is that button up top here to add a new post, you could always go down to the sub menu under posts and add a new post as well. You can develop categories for the types of posts. So if you have a blog with several different topics, then you can always attribute a category to that as well as tags. So that would mean any keywords that you would want to use for anyone who might be searching for your content. Moving down to the media tab, we'll go ahead and click that. So this is the media library. Again, this is a new site, so I do not have any pictures in here. So this is where you're going to load any JPEG images, any PNG images, anything that you want visually on your site. It does take PDFs as well. So if you had some PDF downloads that you wanted to add to your site, you could load these in here and then put them on the site. In order to add new, you just click the add new, and then you can actually drop files into this area from your computer, or you can select the files on your computer. They do have maximum upload file size limits. This can be changed if 300 megabytes is not up to your standards, but that's pretty large, and for the most part you want to keep images pretty small. So 300 megabytes is more than enough room to use as an upload size limit. So we can always go back to the media library to see the overall view, and then again there's another add new button right underneath it. Pages works really similar to posts, so any pages that I have on the site will be listed here. And I can see that some of them, this is actually a Divi feature. It's showing that I have it in draft mode. A lot of times, if you do, most themes will indicate whether or not it's in a draft or if it's published. And you can also sort those out here at the top. You can see how many pages are published and then how many are in draft mode. You have the ability to take bulk actions if you wanted to. If I was going to delete these, I could select them and then I could move them to trash and then hit apply. So you can manage your content in that way. If you wanted to add new, again, we've got the button here as well as underneath here in the submenu. So I could always add a new page. I could add a title. We'll call this one home. And then I could just publish it if I wanted to. It's going to ask me, are you really ready to publish it? I'll say sure. And then it looks like it's now live. So then I've got the ability to go over here and view the page that is now titled home and is published. Again, no styling to this page yet because this is a new site. Let's go back to the WordPress dashboard. If I am on the site, I can always go back to the dashboard just by clicking the name of the site here in the upper left-hand corner. And then I'm back to where I was. Now, if you have a blog and you have comments installed, then this comment tab is going to be something that you would want to manage. A lot of times, a lot of spam can come through, so it is good to try and keep up with that. That's why I did install a plugin to help manage that, and we'll get to that one as soon as we get to the plugins tab. But any posts that you show up, you have the ability to approve them first before they get posted live to your site. So that's another good feature that you would want to be mindful of. Moving on down, this projects tab is actually a Divi theme feature. And so not everyone is going to be seeing this. A project would be more related to a portfolio item. So you could create a project around that. It would work similarly to pages and posts. It's just a different content format. I'm not going to go too deep into that because if you're not using the Divi theme, or if you don't have a portfolio, it's probably not going to make sense for you. It might make sense if you were a business who had a lot of case studies that you wanted to develop, but since that's not something that I'm going to go into deep, we'll just move right on past that. Flamingo, again, is another plugin that I'm using. And so what Flamingo is, it's actually an address book for the Contact 7 plugin. So in order to have a free contact form creator, I've gone with the Contact 7 plugin. Flamingo is a complementary plugin to that, which allows you to store addresses as well as any inbound messages that you might have received. So not only do you get to have the messages forwarded directly to your email, you can also have a copy saved on the back end of your website so that in case you miss something, you've always got a place to go reference it. So the contact form, again, the Contact Form 7, this is just a plugin where I can create a simple contact form and then stylize it to my liking and allow messages to be received from my website directly to my email inbox. Moving down, we'll go to appearance. And so appearance has several different things within inside of it that you will want to pay attention to. This tab is definitely on all WordPress dashboards. Currently, again, as I mentioned, I'm using the Divi theme. I've created a child theme for it, and we've got a default theme that comes within WordPress that is also installed but not active. Your active one will always have the bar that displays that it is currently active, and then it allows you to customize it right there. We're not going to go too deep into that. The customization theme, if I were to hit that button, I've got a ton of different settings, and these are mostly Divi related on how do I want the typography to look, how do I want the navigation to look, button colors, blog styles, menus, so many options to really customize your site any way that you want it to look. I am going to get out of this because we're not going to make any changes. And now we're back to where we were. Widgets. Widgets are a great way to add content areas. So if you have a blog and you have a sidebar, you can choose what kind of elements that you want to go inside of it. So if you wanted the search bar, if you wanted recent posts, recent comments, maybe we didn't want recent comments, so we could always delete something out of it. And then if we saw something else that we would like to put in, like maybe a tag cloud, you could drag an element and then put it inside the different widget areas. Within Divi, we've got 6 different footer area widgets, and we've got a sidebar widget. You can actually create new widgets if you'd like to. You could create a whole new name. So maybe we've got something that was specific to the home page. We could create that widget. We'll refresh it here, and now you can see that we've got a brand new widget, and then we could put this any place that we wanted to on the front end of the site and drag whatever elements. It could be a custom HTML element. You could add some custom code to that, or it could be a gallery image. Sky's the limit here. You could do whatever you wanted to do, but it's just as easy to create a new widget and customize it to whatever kind of content that you want to go into it. Moving on, menus is also going to be a very important item that you're going to want to pay attention to. So I currently don't have any menus set up. I am going to make a new menu. I'm going to call it the primary menu, and I'm going to actually select it as a primary menu location. These are designated by Divi. So they've got what they call their primary menu, their secondary menu, and their footer menu. So when you create a new menu, and I hit create, then I can see that I have the ability to take any page that I've created and add it to this menu structure. So I'm going to click the home page that I created. I'm going to add it to the menu, and now I can see that it is on the navigation. If you wanted to add anything like a post or even a custom link, you could do that too. And so that's just going to go into your main navigation. Now, you absolutely have to save any changes in order for them to stay. So let's go take a look at this really quick. I'm going to pop up here. We're going to visit the site. And then I can see now that my navigation only has the home page in it. If I were to go back, go to appearance and menus, and let's just say we'll add this sample page. I'm going to save the menu now. We'll go look at the site, and then I can see that the sample page is now there. Now let's say that for whatever reason, I wish that the sample page came before the home page. We'll go back, appearance, menus. I can drag and drop these and reorder them, save the menu, and now the sample page is before the home page. So it's very easy to customize the content that goes into your navigation. So I'm going to go back to the menus. We'll look and see if there's anything else here that we need to talk about. I think this is just a very general overview, so I think everything looks good. I will probably not have the sample page moving forward, so I'm just going to go ahead and click save on that right now. This background tab, it will actually open up the customize options that we had seen earlier, and it's just a shortcut that goes directly to the background. So if you needed to set a background color for your site, you could. we could do it red, and you could kind of see that now that anything that's showing up as a default background will be red. It's probably not what we want. I'm going to go ahead and get out of this. If there was a specific color that you needed for your site, then you could set that option here. I'm going to hit OK. And then theme editor. We'll talk about theme editor. As you can see, we've got a little warning saying, heads up, you're about to make some edits. I don't ever really use the theme editor to edit my files. If I'm making changes, often I will do it in a program like Sublime and then upload those files as needed. You would just want to proceed with caution, I'll say. Make sure that you know what you're doing. I could say, yes, I understand. And I can see the current styles, like this custom style sheet. Right now it's pretty empty, but if I wanted to add some custom CSS for, you know, colors and styling of the text, I could do all of that here. It's just not my typical preference of editing these theme files, but if you're comfortable doing that and that's something that you want to do, by all means, there's a place to do it. Now, I will point out with the Divi theme, there's actually a better place to add some custom CSS, but this is just an option. Let's move on to plugins. I will click the plugins tab, and then currently we can see I've got 5 plugins installed. These are kind of my basic go-tos. Again, as I mentioned before, the Contact Form 7 and the Flamingo, those are 2 complementary plugins that allow me to receive messages from my site and then also store a copy of those messages on my site. I did mention previously that I use Simple Google reCAPTCHA. It really seems to help cut down on spam comments and, you know, bot attack. It's just something I use for a little bit of extra security, and it seems to be working well for me. And the last one down here before I go back up to the top is the Yoast SEO tool. Like I mentioned before, it's a great little tool that allows you to add any metadata and style the search results in search engines like Google and Bing of how you want those contents to show up in front of users who may be searching for what you have to offer. The last plugin here is Bloom. Divi is made by Elegant Themes, and so Bloom is an Elegant Themes plugin, and what it does is it allows you to put pop-ups easily on your website to collect email addresses, and it integrates with so many different email service platforms. So no matter if you're using MailChimp or Aweber or Constant Contact, you can integrate all of those really easily. And then the better part too is that it has the custom HTML option. So no matter what email service provider you might be using, you can actually integrate it with Bloom and just completely customize it to make it work for you. So it's a handy little tool that I like to use. Now, I will say there are tons and tons of plugins out there. You can basically customize a WordPress site however you want to. You do have to proceed with caution sometimes. I think there's always, you got to have your soapbox moment to say, if you add too many plugins, there is a chance that some of them might fight with each other and break your site. So that's not always a fun experience, but usually if you are adding new plugins and something seems to go wrong on the site, you might experience a situation where the plugin's not actually going to be a good fit for your site because it's competing with another set of code somewhere. Definitely not a fun process. Now, if I need to add a new plugin, I can do it a couple different ways. I've got, again, this add new button here, and it is add new in the sub menu as well. We'll click add new. If I had the plugin already downloaded, I could upload a zip file here, but I could also search for plugins. I mean, there's so many plugins out there. So if you know something like, let's just go with the reCAPTCHA option that I had. And so I can see that this one was the one that I went with, the Simple Google reCAPTCHA, but there's so many others out there. And the nice thing is maybe the reCAPTCHA for the Contact Form 7, maybe that was something I want. I can see that it has 200,000 active installs. We can see what kind of rating it has based on how many reviews have been left. You can search for anything you want to, and then those results will come up here. And then you have the ability to just say, yes, install now, activate. You can do all of that from right here within the dashboard. It does have a plugin editor. Again, proceed with caution. You want to make sure that if you're editing the files of a plugin, that you know what you're doing, because it could break it. Again, I don't ever really use this option, but it is there for you if you need it. I'm going to go back because we don't need to really explore that anymore. Let's move on to users. All right, when you need to see how many people have access to your site, or if you need to add a new person as a user to your site, this is where you're going to go. So right now we're sort of at the overall screen where we can see that we've got one user that has the administrator role. I've just added some dummy user data for security purposes there, so you can see that it'll show you the username, the name of the person, the email, and what role that they have. If you want to add a new person, then we can just click this button either at the top or again under the sub menu under users, add new. So we'll click add new, and then what you will be required to give is a username for that person and the email associated with the account. You don't have to, but you can add a first name and a last name. You could attribute a website to them. So if you've got a lot of different people that you need to add to the site and you're really not sure who they are or need to remember who they are, you could attribute a website to them. And then you have the ability to generate a password for them. You can send the new user an email about their accounts and then assign them a role. So for example, a subscriber is not going to be allowed to do a lot on the site. They could access the site. If you had a membership platform, that might be more of a subscriber role where they have a login and maybe they've downloaded some things from you. That might be things that they have access to, but they're not going to have access to edit the site. If you needed somebody to edit, we've got a few different roles here, and some of them are attributed to the SEO Yoast plugin that I have. So we've got SEO editor and SEO manager. So if you had a dedicated resource that needed to access those items, you could definitely assign them that role. Whether or not maybe you have a blog and you need authors and contributors on it, you could assign them those roles. An editor might be allowed to edit text on your website, but the administrator, if you need somebody to have full access to, have the ability to add a plugin or create a new page or really make some changes design-wise on your site, administrator is what you would want to give them. But if you want to limit it in any other capacity, then you might consider a reduced role. And then once you've got all of that content filled in, you would just hit add new user. That new user will receive an email if you've indicated for them to do so, and you as the site administrator will also get an email anytime any new person registers to the site. So that is a quick look at users. Let's move down to tools. So there are a couple of tools. Again, I don't spend a lot of time in this section, but it does have the ability to import and export data. So I've done this a couple of times. So the reason I've used the import and export was because I was exporting a blog from one site and putting it into a brand new site. So it was content that was needed, but we were shifting completely different platforms. I had the ability to export all of the blog data and then import it into the new place. The other items that you have access to are site health. So the site health just gives you an overall health status of, hey, how does everything look? Is there any security concerns? Is everything up to date? Did anything fail to update? This is just your overall look at that. And it's also located on the home dashboard when we first logged in. So it's something to monitor. It's definitely, if you see critical issues that are listed, you might want to address those. Just a good way to make sure that everything is up to date and looking good. You have a couple more options down here. Export personal data, erase personal data. Again, I don't spend a lot of time on that, so that might not be something that you need to concern yourself with. Moving on to the next section though, settings will be something you want to pay attention to. So when I click on settings, I am taken to the general settings tab. This is an overall look at your site. So what is your site title? Like, what's the name of your business? Do you have a tagline? It always defaults to just another WordPress site, but if you do have a tagline that describes your business a little more, always good for SEO purposes to go ahead and put that in there. Your URL for your site, what does the, who is the administrative email address on the account? Again, that's just dummy data for the purposes of the tutorial. What do you want a new user default role to be? The site language that you have, the time zone. So I could actually set this. I am in the central time zone, so I am going to look for Chicago, and I can set that. And so that's just important. So if you're making posts, it's attributing the correct time. How do you want your dates to display? How do you want your time format to look like? Does the day of the week start on a Sunday, a Monday? You can hit save those changes and those will go into effect. Moving down to the writing settings, you have the ability to have a default post category and a default post format. You can add mail server information here. Again, to post via email, that information is obviously going to be private to you. If that is something that you want to set up, by all means, you can do so. We're going to move on to the next tab for reading. So reading, this is kind of important. So what do you want your homepage to display? You could do your latest posts or you could do a static page. I always usually do a static page and then I choose my homepage to be the homepage that I've created. And then if you wanted to have a default blog page, you could do that as well. You could select a default post page for that. You could also set how many blog pages show at one time, and syndication feeds show the most recent X number of items. You can choose to have your full text, a summary of text, and then you do have the ability to discourage search engines from indexing the site. Don't recommend that. And you will see that there is a message. It is up to search engines to honor this request. A lot of times though, if you have a website, you want people to find it. So I would not suggest turning that off. And we would just save any changes that we made. And then we could see that, yes, the settings were saved. We'll move on down to discussion. Discussion settings are for comments mostly. So if you do have a blog post, you've got a lot of different options that you can go through to make sure that those are behaving the way that you want them to. So if I said before a comment appears on the site, maybe the comment must be manually approved by me. I don't want a lot of spam going on to the site, so that would be a good thing to consider. You can choose, how many levels deep do you want the comments to go? Do you close the comments automatically after a set number of days? Allow anybody to submit comments? So there's just a lot of different options here, and these are mostly based on preference. You can also add some words which will flag the content to make sure that it's not being posted before. If it's, got anything that is inappropriate, that would not be suitable for your site. You've also got some avatar options that you can show. You can give them a maximum rating. You can show the avatars. You can set a default avatar if that is something that you want to do. Again, any changes that you make, you would want to save. Moving on to the media settings, you have the ability to set the pixel size for any thumbnails, any medium size, and any large size images. This doesn't mean that any image you upload will be absolutely forced into this, because there is also the full size. When you upload an image, let's say it was 1600 pixels wide by like 700 tall, then you have the option to use it at that size, but then you also have these default sizes that you could select from. So the one picture you select will basically get cropped into medium size and large size and thumbnail size options for you to use. When uploading files, you do have the option to put them into month and year based folders. This again would be a personal preference if you wanted to use it that way. That means if I uploaded something in January, of a particular year, then the file name is going to have like 01 and that year within the URL for that image. Just a personal preference. If you don't want to do that, you know what? And click it and you can save the changes. Let's go to permalinks. So currently, as a default, the permalinks, and you can see this warning up here that it can seriously impact your search engine visibility. So right now, when it's a plain permalink, it's just going to have like maybe a random number associated with the page, which isn't always amazing. So if I had a page that was, for contact, and I wanted that URL to be michellethecreator.com/contact, this structure is not going to work for me. Neither is a day and a name. That doesn't necessarily make sense, or the month in the name, or numeric. I would want the post name, so that whatever post name that I give it, it's going to show up as michellethecreator.com/contact, if that's the name I so chose. So that is the one that I recommend the most. If you have, time sensitive information that may make more sense with a day and a name and a month and a name, then I would say maybe go with those, but default, just go with the post name. That's going to be best for search engine results anyways. So I am going to save those changes. Let's move on to privacy settings. So as we know, everything these days, every privacy policy is always being updated, and it makes sure that you have a privacy policy set in place. So I have to select a page, and there was one that was already defaulted. So I can say, yes, use this page for my privacy policy. If you had something that was just called privacy, or you can see that any other page that I've created is listed here. If there was a dedicated page that you had created for privacy, then you could select that there. Limit login attempts. So this is actually something from the hosting service that I use. I love to use Flywheel for hosting WordPress websites. It just makes them run so much faster, and the price is great, and it, continually backs up your content so that you don't ever have to fear about losing anything. And so one of the other things that it does put into place is limiting login attempts, so that if somebody were to try to hack your site and they're continually using your name and trying to guess your password, then you can set limits on how many tries you have to put in a password, how long a person gets locked out, and then how many lockouts creates, increases the lockout time. Another nice security feature to have, so just FYI, not all WordPress sites may see this option right here. And then for the last one in these settings, again, this is from a plugin. So if you don't have the plugin, you're not going to see this, but the Google reCAPTCHA plugin that I use will show the site key and the secret key and some settings there that I have. I'm not going to show you what those site keys and secret keys are, because those are blurred out just for security purposes. We'll continue to move down our menu on the left-hand side. I am now on the SEO tab. Again, if you don't have Yoast SEO installed, you're not going to see this, but this just allows some features to help, rank better within search engines. It's got a couple of nice features that you can do. And one of the other things that I've noticed is you have the ability to set open graph graphics on here, so that if you want particular graphics to show up when you're posting on social media platforms, you can set all of that within this tool without having to add it manually to the header of your website. It also offers some webmaster tools so that you can verify different search engines to help with those results. You can get verification codes for all of the following that are listed. And then they do offer a premium version. So if you want more options and help with your SEO, you can upgrade to the premium plugin. I am going to skip over the rest of that, and then we will go take a look at Bloom. Bloom is specific to Divi and elegant themes. I don't have any opt-ins here, but I can create a new opt-in if you're curious about that. I will have a link in the description to check out any elegant themes, but It allows me to either put a pop-up on my site, I can put a fly in from the bottom, I can embed it below a post, I could put it inline, which basically means I could plop it anywhere on a page, I can make it locked content, or I can put it within inside of a widget. Lots of different options and many ways to style, so really great tool if you are looking to collect emails on your site. And then this last tab here, most themes that you install will have some sort of menu item on the left-hand side. And so this is where the Divi is. It sits at the bottom, but it allows me to add a logo for the site. I can enable and disable different options. I can set a color palette for the site so that when I'm creating pages on the front end, it can be super easy just to grab the colors for the brands that I'm working for. And then many other options to add in social media profiles. It'll put the icons right on there for you if you want to. And then at the very bottom, it has the ability to add some custom CSS here, which is great if you're just needing to add a bit of customization to your site and you need to add, a couple of classes there. Great place to do that. They've also got many other options here, such as like the integration. You can actually, if you needed to put something within the head of your site or within the body or, at the top of posts, they've got different areas and content blocks that you could add customization in. The nice thing I will say, if anybody is curious about Divi, is it does have the ability to have a theme builder. So I can actually customize and make, my own theme templates here. So if I wanted to style all the blog pages or add a global footer. So if I said, I need the same footer on every single page of my website, then I can go ahead and I can build that right here, and then it'll automatically put it on the entire site. If I needed all of my blog pages to look a certain way, I could add a template for that. So it's a really great way to customize a lot of content if you do have, even if you have an e-commerce store and you need the products to look a certain way. Great way, a quick way to really customize all of those options. And then again, we've got the theme customizer, which will take us back to a familiar window that we've seen a couple times already, so that we've got the ability to stylize different items and even the additional CSS. There is the same box. So the same box that we just saw in the theme options, it will actually show up here too. You've got another access point if you want to put in more CSS, but it's the same. So we'll just click out of this. We'll hit OK. It has a role editor, and so if you want to set different custom abilities for what the administrator has access to, and you can see that all of these are enabled, there's a lot of stuff. And if what the editor does not have access to, you can turn these things on and off. So you really can customize what type of roles that you want on your site just by going through and choosing what options get attributed to which role. We'll take a quick look at the Divi library, which is empty currently, but I will say, what is the Divi library? It is an awesome tool as well within the Divi theme to allow you to save things. So let's say you stylized a button and you love that button and you want to put it everywhere. Well, instead of recreating it 1,000 different times, you could just save it to your library. And so when you're creating on the front end and you want to add a button, you're like, okay, we'll just add it from the library. And you can do the same thing with anything, like a section, a different row, different content blocks, whatever you create. If you're like, oh, this section needs to be put on multiple pages. So maybe you have a really nice contact form that you want to put on several different pages to schedule an appointment or something like that, then you could just save it to your library and then you can pop it in on another page. So again, another great way to create quickly. And then it has a support center at the bottom, but that's just really for Divi support if you need help. I think that wraps up the tour of everything that's involved. The things that I might not have glossed over are sometimes if you do have an update, you will see it up here in this top menu, and it might have a little indication number by it. and you'll always see the name of your site at the top left. It'll say howdy over here to whoever is logged into the site. So if you needed to edit your own personal user settings, you could click on Howdy Michelle and you could edit those there. We'll take one last look at the site, and I'm gonna you can either hit the visit the site or clicking the name will do the same. So here I am on my actual site. And so if you're wanting to take a quick look at how powerful Divi can be, then all you really have to do when you're editing with Divi is you click the visual builder. So I have this little purple button that lights up here. I would click this, and then it's gonna ask me if I wanna take the tour. But I've taken the tour before, so we don't need to do that. You have options. You can build something from scratch. You could choose a pre-made layout, or you could clone an existing page. So if there's something else out there that you created and you're like, oh, this is gonna be really similar, I could just choose a page I'd already created. Let's just take a look at the pre-made layouts. We're just gonna go random here. Maybe we're gonna do a coffee house landing page, and you can see, you can preview all types of different pages here. We're just going to use the landing page. I'm going to say use this layout. It's going to take just a moment to load. Okay, now I can see that my design, my pre-made design, has been loaded onto this page, and it looks pretty cool. So you might be wondering what's so special about Divi. Well, everything is broken down into sections and different modules, and with this purple one, the purple one is actually a full width module, and then any settings that are within it are usually shown in gray. So we'll just move down here just to show you maybe a little bit easier. The blue is usually a section, the green is a row, and anything that's gray is an individual module. And so what's nice is that you have the ability to drag and drop things, so that if I was like, oh, we want this text to come up above here, we could drag and drop it. We have settings on everything, so the settings will always pop open a little window where we have the ability to edit text with a WYSIWYG editor, and then you've got infinite number of ways to style the text, whether that's, you know, choosing the font, choosing the color, the style of the font, letter spacing, shadows, everything that you can possibly imagine. And then you can always save, go backwards or forwards if you made a mistake, and then if you wanted to discard things, you could always hit the X. So it's a great way, if you're not super familiar with coding, to design. And you can always duplicate things. So if you needed to use something in another section, you could just hit the little duplication button. This is where I was talking about saving to the library. If you loved this headline and you're like, oh, I've got to use this everywhere, we could save the module to the library. We could give it a name, and then we could just save it. If you want to, you can make global items. And so a global item would be wherever you've put it in one place, it will update across the site. So if I had the same section and I put it on 5 different pages, and I was like, I don't want to edit the section 5 different times in 5 different locations, you would make it a global item so that no matter where the section was placed, it would update across the board. So that's also a really cool feature that I've used several times. I'm just going to exit out of that. And of course, if we said that we didn't want the element, we would just hit the little trash can and the guy would disappear. So everything's really built with sections, rows, and modules. So for example, this one is a 3-column, and you can choose the different columns and layouts. They have a lot of different layouts to choose from. So if you were wanting to go to a 2-column, then you can see how all of that content just shifted back to a 3-column. You might have to drag some things sometimes. And then the nice thing is there's so many different types of modules that you can use. So if you ever want to add something, you just use the plus icon. So if I needed to add a new row, for example, then I would hit the plus icon and I could say, okay, let's add a single row. And then that single row would be put right below it. And then I've got the option to insert any module that I like. And so you can do anything from custom code to a button, an image, you could do maps, you could do sliders and sidebars, text, we'll just do text, and then you can see that it inserts some dummy copy there that you can customize. So a really cool way to build a website if you're not familiar with having to write custom HTML or CSS. So highly recommend it. Definitely check it out if you are interested. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. Thanks.